Hello, my name is Kai, and I am a bit of a rambler. I like to travel, learn, and tell stories. And more has been going on in the land of Japan, so welcome to another Ramble On episode. Kinomichi Island is Bunny Island or Deer Island. I think Kinomichi is actually Deer. Nope, I just looked up Deer and Rabbit Island. They're both not called Kinomichi, so I don't know what Kinomichi is. Maybe I just wrote it down wrong. But there's a Deer Island and a Rabbit Island that my friend Taka has recommended me to. Still haven't been to them, but I might go to the Deer Island soon because it looks pretty accessible and easy to get to. Ooh, I saw more shooting stars. I've been seeing just tons of them, and it was really, I love starscapes, and I like that Japan's such a low-light country, so I can see the shooting stars so easily. So I went out with my new friend Taka-san to some izakayas, and yeah, we took a train out there, and it's so interesting how the train feels so culturally Japanese. Like, it's not super modern, but they work well, they're clean, and they are well taken care of. But it's like they developed them until 1995, and then they were like, this is the perfect transit train. Don't make it nicer. Don't make it any more futuristic. Just keep it right here. Don't put in like steel molded seats. Keep the cushions and a little bit, there has to be something rattling just a little bit. It's great. I like it a lot. And so we took the train, couple stops to Iohojo, and then we walked around, but we got there a little early, and the izakayas were open, but what Taka-san likes was the snack bars. And I don't know what a snack bar is, so I was like, well, I guess we'll just go later. But the way the snack bars looked, I was like, I hope this is not a strip club, because I don't want to go there at all, but especially with an old man. And we went to a izakaya after walking. So we walked down to the harbor, and he showed me the ferry that would take me to Deer Island that was just right across, very close. It's like 100 yards away. Deer Island, you can take a little ferry over there for a couple bucks. And after getting to there and looking around the harbor and seeing some people fishing, someone caught a fish. We went to an open izakaya, and Taka clearly really wanted to go to these snack bars, and so I'm curious about them, but I want to go to an izakaya because now I've been to a yakitori, but now I can go to an izakaya with a Japanese guy. But I realized I've been going to an izakaya. The ramen place I go to has a list of snacks that you can buy, and that's what the izakaya is. It's like a pub, and you can order snacks and drinks. And we got some beer, and they don't take cards also. No, the cards, not very popular in Japan at all. I heard that there were more places accepting cards, and there are more places than I remember, I think, the last time I was here, but many restaurants, more than half the restaurants I go to, do not accept cards. They're cash only, and izakayas especially. So anyway, we went to the izakaya. It's still awesome. It looks so cool because it's all hardwood, and there was a waitress and one cook or chef in the back, and we got some sashimi, which was pretty good. I'll say pretty good. But that's the thing, like the supermarket sashimi I get is also pretty to really good. So I felt like paying a premium for this izakaya sashimi maybe wasn't worth it, but it was fun because we're both drinking. Taka has his highball and I have my giant mug of beer, and it's great to share some sashimi with some beer. And then I got a shredded scallop, but I thought it would be cooked, but Google Translate was wrong. It was not grilled. It's raw scallop sliced into strips and then in seawater, basically. So you're just eating raw, but it was pretty good. It definitely wasn't bad. It wasn't not, I'm not going to get it again. It wasn't really exciting for my palate, and I like grilled scallop and fried scallop a lot. But the snacks in izakayas aren't separated by fried food versus fresh a lot of them are just handwritten signs because it is all fresh, like local seasonal produce and food. So they don't have one set menu. It sort of goes with the seasons and whatever is locally available, which is really cool. And I'm glad I tried this salty, raw strips of scallop. What else? Oh, Taka-san told me this funny story about one of his guests, because there was a girl who knew the first four, which actually I know also, hitots, futats, meats, yots, for ordering one order of blah blah. So like sashimi wo hitots, one order of sashimi, or mitsu, 3 orders of whatever. But she didn't know the word for 5, so mitsu, yotsu, and then she said gotsu, which is wrong, because they have a different word for that. But go is the word for 5, and she was like, well, if it's tsu, then the word is gotsu. And he told me that story, and it was really funny, and we laughed a lot, because if you don't know what the correct word is for 5 orders, then yeah, why wouldn't you get go? Why wouldn't you guess go? But it does sound wrong. It's the same reason they, like, the numbers 4 and 7 are either yon or she, right? Yon is 4 and she means 4. But when you're saying like 4 things or 4 o'clock, yonji, you don't say shiji. It doesn't sound correct with how Japanese works together phonetically. It doesn't, what's the word? Euphony. It's not euphonically correct. It sounds weird to say shiji. And with 7 also, it's shichi or nana. And it sounds weird if you use nana where it's not supposed to be used, and it sounds weird if you use shichi where it's not supposed to be used. So it's shichiji. But if you're talking about like 7 things, then it's probably nana. So it makes perfect sense that she thought logically, hitsu, futatsu, mitsu, yotsu, gotsu. But yotsu, gotsu sounds weird. It just doesn't. And I'm terrible at Japanese, but I've been studying it, and the sounds are starting to make sense to me, and I can hear it when something doesn't fit into the pattern of Japanese, whether I'm reciting a sentence or typing a sentence together on Duolingo or gotsu. Or when he said that, I just started laughing, and it does sound funny. It's a funny word, gotsu. So he was really into that story. And then he spilled soy sauce all over his pants. And I cleaned up with some napkins. And Taka played it off, but I don't know how pissed he actually was. Because really, it seemed like he just wanted to go to the snack bar. We had, what else did we have? I think we had some edamame, or there was one other thing. Oh, you know what it was? There's this seasonal, did I write that down? Nope, but I found a picture of a menu, and I believe it was near the bottom. I think it's this one, tsukuji. 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 It was interesting because it was like asparagus a little, but much more fragrant, much sweeter and mild. The flavor wasn't very strong. So it was like a thick, the way he described it was a thick grass, and it's only around for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks tops each year. And that time we went there was peak season for this tsukuji. So we got it at the first izakaya we went to. And that was the best thing, including the sashimi. That was delicious. I really liked the tsukuji. It was really interesting. Very unique flavor, and not very strong, but very satisfying. Very good. So after those 3, and after Taka spilled soy sauce on his pants, we decided to get out of there. He wanted to go check the snack bar, see if they were open yet. And we said thank you. And I think he paid, and I gave him money. Because before we went, he said, we should go to an izakaya. I know one that you'll like, but we have to pay half-half. Because you're not young enough that I can take you to dinner. You're supposed to take young people to dinner, but you're not that young. And I laughed. We were drinking at his house a couple days before we went. And he's right, I ain't that young. So we paid half-half, but when we got there, I think he tried to pay, and I gave him money after he paid the waitress for that one. And then we had been there like an hour and a half, so it was 7:30, something like that. But so it's nighttime, like the sun is gone, but the snack bar door still didn't open. And he's like, oh, it might open later, might open at 8. I was like, okay. And that was fine. I already asked him, I was like, I don't know about the snack bar. I like izakayas. Can we just go to another izakaya? And he said, yeah, I really want to go to a snack bar. And I was like, okay. But the snack bar wasn't open. So I said, well, if we're just drinking, then we can just get drinks at another izakaya. Let's just go to that first izakaya we saw that was so tiny. I like the small shops. And we went up there, and we were just talking, shooting the shit the whole time. But we got to the second izakaya, and it was even smaller than the first, which was already pretty tiny. There were maybe 8 seats at just a bar, no tables, and just 2 people inside. And I noticed they had tsukuji again, so I got more tsukuji, and they gave us free tsukuji when we sat down as a little taste, but I wanted more. It was like a tsukuji egg mixture, sort of quiche. It was really, really good. And Taka was like, whoa, you want more? Look, they just gave it to us for free. And I was like, yeah, I know, it's really good. I'll get some more. They also didn't take card, though. And I just want to pay with card. I got to get a feeless ATM card, because it's not that it's too expensive. It just really bugs me having to pay so much money to take out money from an ATM easily, because there's no reason for these transaction fees in the modern world. So the tsukuji was very tasty, and I talked to the people around a couple words, and then me and Taka talked, and me and Taka drank. And I had a couple beers, and they had a train station schedule posted right on the wall of it, so we checked when the last train out was, and we were good. We still had a few hours left. It was still pretty early. It was like 8, a little after 8. By the time we left that place, it was probably 8:15-ish, and I'm sure Taka was just like checking his watch. He was like, are you done? Yeah, okay. And we went to the snack bar. So we went back down there, and the door was open this time, and we walk in, and there's 3 60-ish-year-old men, and Taka's like 70-something, and then me, 20 to 30 years younger than everybody else, and 2 girls dressed up in hostess-made uniforms behind the counter. And I guess the point of these snack bars is just to talk to young girls who have to pay attention to you, which, is, I guess, the point of a lot of bars in the US also. But this is so focused. Like, they have to dress up in outfits. It was weird, but it was the first time I was in a snack bar. I've never even heard of those before. And so now I have been in one, and I probably won't go back. But this one was very lively and loud because they were doing karaoke. And they didn't get up to do karaoke. There was no stage. It was just sitting around the bar. They would pass around a Bluetooth microphone, and then there were 2 TV screens, and a song would go up, and you sang them. And I sang a couple songs because I said a couple words to one of the bartendresses, and she was like, you can sing. And she put on an English menu of songs, and I sang a couple. And the old people looked like they were confused and like didn't like the songs because 1, they were in English, and 2, it was new music, and they were all singing like old traditional Japanese songs. But I had a fun time because both of the singers, Taka doesn't sing, and I sang, and then there were 3 other guys in there, but 1 left. So the 2 guys that were left sang a lot. Oh no, there were 3 guys. Yeah. All 3 of them sang. And one of them was lackluster a bit, but the other 2 really got into it and were guttural and wailing and just really into the karaoke. So that was kind of fun to watch. And I participated, which is fun also. I like singing. Why not? But Taka doesn't like karaoke. And after his first drink, he left. He told me he was going to go check the other snack bar because there were 2 of them next to each other and see if he liked the second snack bar better. And when people finished singing, the Japanese girls in their uniforms, the bartenders clapped their hands very excited. It was bizarre. And Taka left. It came back like 10 minutes later, and he was like, we'll go to the other one now. And I was like, okay. So we went to the other one, and there was no karaoke in there, which I did like because we were hanging out and talking, and then we couldn't hear anything because the karaoke was constant. And I don't even think we got snacks. We must have gotten something, because that's the whole point of the snack bar. It's a bar, and you drink, and then they give you tiny little like finger snacks, like a packet of 2 crackers or something like that, like a little basket of snacks inside. And then the girls behind the counter don't really flirt with the men. But a family came into the second one too. So we were in the second one talking for a while. There was this girl with a couple tattoos behind the counter, and Taka just wanted to talk. So at the first one, he kept trying to talk to one of the bartenders, but she kept interrupting him because she had to hand the microphone to someone, or someone else was singing, so he couldn't just talk to her and explain his life. And when we got to the second one, he could. So for like 25 minutes, he was just talking at this bartender, and she was just like nodding along, being interested, but it's difficult to say how interested she really was. But Taka, I asked him why his name was Mameda, and he explained that his like nickname he chose as Mameda. Mameda is a baby tanuki. A tanuki is like a raccoon bear dog thing, kind of a local spirit in Japan. There's a real animal like a raccoon dog in Japan, and it's just like a different species of raccoon. But in folklore, there's the tanuki, and it's this bipedal raccoon dog who, I don't know, is just a weird shape-shifting little spirit, forest spirit, I guess. But you'll see statues of tanuki standing in front of shops all around Japan, everywhere, really. And sometimes they'll be man-sized, and sometimes they'll be like half man-sized. Sometimes they'll have beard. They always have like a thick mane, and canonically have large testicles, which in the Studio Ghibli movie, Pompoko, I think it was, they use their testicles to fly? I gotta check. Hang on. Is this correct? Hang on. I remember that movie, and I was like, this is weird, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh, they are flying with their ball sacks. So I just looked it up, yes. So in Pompoko, the tanuki, these raccoon dog forest spirits, are fighting against human developers, like destroying the forest. And to get to the location, there's this part where a whole bunch of tanuki jump off something, the cliff or a roof, I can't remember. And they all float down using their ball sacks to catch the wind and float down to this area. It's a very strange plot mechanism. But the reason for it is because, canonically, again, I don't know why, tanuki have very big testicles in all of the myths and legends. And on these statues, all these statues I'm talking about, their balls are displayed. Like, most of these statues have balls. Okay, well, that's enough talk about that. The reason I brought that up is because Taka explained to me why his chosen nickname Mameda was Mameda, because he really liked tanukis, and a baby tanuki is called a Mameda, as Taka introduced the word to me, as he explained it to me. And the bartender behind is still just like nodding along and can't speak any English, so I'm speaking my crapo Japanese. But I don't want to talk too much because it's clear Taka just needs to unload. Yeah, I don't think he has a lot to do. Every time I've been with him, he just wants to talk and explain. Just a lonely guy who wants to talk to somebody, wants some interaction. And he does like talking to young pretty girls. After we left the snack bar, because a family came in while Taka was talking to this lady, and they all started talking loudly. And so after I ate a couple of the snacks with the drinks me and Taka were having, we weaved out into the night away from all the loudness, and the bartender like followed us and said thank you for coming. But Taka was like not even looking at her, and I could tell he didn't like the girls at the first one either. And he was like, do you even think those girls were pretty? And I was like, yes. I didn't really, but it felt mean because we were talking to them earlier. And they were not hideous. They were just not, I don't know, the prettiest girls I've ever seen, but they weren't ugly. And Taka was sort of making it sound like because they weren't the prettiest girls ever, his night was not as fun. But he asked me if I had fun. I was like, yeah, it was fun. And it was a good time. I enjoyed the izakayas more, but it was interesting seeing what snack bars were so that I know to avoid them. And I paid, I think, at 2 of the places too, so I felt good about that I wasn't mooching off overbearing Japanese hospitality, which I will say with Taka, I didn't really have to worry about. He was very upfront about, like, I'm not paying for everything. So Yakitori is like an upscale pub with kind of fancier dishes and nicer stuff. Izakaya is just a regular local pub with a bunch of snacks and beer. And the Yakitoris have the snacks and beer too. And then the snack bar is just drinks, and then there's very tiny snacks, like 1 piece of beef jerky in a package or 1 cracker in a little package, and you can eat that and then drink and just talk to the bartenders and get some attention that maybe you don't have time to get in your regular life. It's kind of the geisha role, like it's an entertainment sort of, yeah, you're paying for the company of women, but literally the company, like not the sexual company. It's just so you can have a pretty girl talking to you or listening to you in the case of many of these people. Okay, let's move on to the funner stuff that I have been doing recently. The sakura, the cherry blossoms. So I stayed an extra week after they said the cherry blossoms would blossom because it never is the right date. It's always a few days or a week later. So I'm staying 1 extra week, and the cherry blossom showed up. I was kind of worried. I went on a hike through the woods, and I was coming down off the mountain. I was like, man, I still haven't seen any cherry blossoms, and I'm leaving in a week. That would be terrible if I stayed just long enough to miss them, which is what I did the first time I was in Japan. I left like a few days before all the sakura blossomed. And I learned that the predictions are always a few days off. But I'm walking down off this mountain thinking like, oh my gosh, am I going to miss the sakura again? And then right in front of me, there's a huge cherry blossom tree. And I was like, well, I turned around the corner. I was like, oh, how did I miss that? And then walking down the mountain, I looked, and across, like, over some buildings to the next ridge of mountains, I see dots of white. And I was like, wait, those are cherry blossom trees too that are blooming right now on the day they're supposed to. And I looked around and I realized a whole bunch of the cherry blossoms were already blooming. They weren't all blooming, but they had all started. So in a few days, all the rest would. So I was probably going to see them. And it was so funny because I was worrying about it for, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes walking down this mountain like, oh man, that would be terrible. I don't want to miss the blah, 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 blah. And then I walk out and there's cherry blossom trees all within eyesight, like close by. And I walked up to one that I thought, wait, is this cherry blossom? And it is. There was a bright blooming cherry blossom with delicate petals falling down in the wind right in front of me. And it was so cool. It was great. It was exactly what I wanted. I wanted to go and see the cherry blossoms. And I haven't missed any of them. And it struck me so funny that I had just been worrying about that, but I hadn't been paying enough attention to the land around me to notice that a bunch of the cherry blossom trees had blossomed that day, because they weren't there a couple days ago. At the most, they certainly weren't, except in those few places I saw them. But now I could see them dotting everywhere. So I walked up to this waterfall I had been to before that had a ton of trees, and they were all blooming, and there were sakura everywhere and petals falling everywhere. I was so happy. I spent the rest of the day walking around that whole 3 more hours, walking around to all the cherry blossom places that I had marked down and looking at all the cherry blossoms and spending time under the trees. And I went back to there's this great park, I don't even know what the name is, but it has a huge twisty slide that goes down a mountain, and it's big. It's a big slide. And it doesn't say it's only for kids. So I have ridden on it twice now. First time there was no cherry blossoms, nothing had bloomed. But the second time I went just a couple days ago, every single tree was in full bloom. So I slid down this hill on a hillside through the cherry blossom trees all around it It was great. It was so cool. There's a picture of it on Lemmy, actually. I threw that up on the Lemmy travel community. And it's a great picture because it looks out over the inland sea off Shikoku. So you can see the ocean and the slide that I'm going to go down, and then all these sakura trees all around it. And it's from the point of view right before you get on the slide. So super fun. It was really fun. And I had a great time that whole day walking around. And it's still going on because that was only a couple days ago. So I'm still walking around every day and seeing all the beautiful cherry blossoms. It was raining today, but I think tomorrow it'll be clear. So I'll just go around all day, and because it's brief. There's going to be a few days. They're all blooming. Most of them have already changed from white to pink. And then all those flowers are going to die, and you got to wait till next year. So it's really, it's great. It's great to be here at this time of year. But now I've done it. I haven't been to Japan 5 years because I went there a couple years in a row to see the sakura, and I did. But there are so many spring festivals around the world that I still haven't heard of, let alone taken part in. Like, I just learned about the Long John Jamboree, which is a big Canadian spring festival that I've never heard of. And I should go to that because I still haven't been to Canada, which is bonkers. But it just happened a couple weeks ago or something, a few weeks ago. So I guess I gotta go in March next year. Okay, yeah, so I was worried about missing sakura. Turns out there was sakura blooming all around me, and I just hadn't been paying attention. And it was good to laugh at myself. I was buying some beer from the convenience store in Japan again, and I was like, it is crazy how much I've spent. I've spent tens of thousands of yen, probably hundreds of thousands during this trip of fun times in Japan, just drinking beer and walking around and recording these podcasts and eating ramen. Yeah, just a bunch of snacks and beer for 6 weeks or whatever. It's been good. It's been a good time, but I've spent so much money because the stores around me have all of the stuff I love. There's sashimi everywhere, but then in the convenience store specifically, they have all the seltzers I like, and they don't put a lot of sugar in the best ones. So I'll go out and get them after I complete a podcast with some snacks. And I'm spending 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 yen here and there. Actually, think about it now. Yeah, it's definitely hundreds of thousands of yen that I've been spending in these shops. What a silly goofball. But it's been a fun time. I can say that. Okay, some exciting news. Firefly podcast. I was just like, oh yeah, the internet exists. And I like Firefly. I wonder if someone has talked about it. I listened to a Deadwood podcast once, and it was interesting, just going along with their watching it. But I found out that Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk, two of the stars, actually have a podcast that was recently started. And they've been friends since the show 25 years ago. And they just talk about whatever. Talk about growing up and what they're doing now, sort of. But you can't talk about a bunch of that stuff because Hollywood secrets, part of the podcast. And it's been really fun. I listened to all of the 20 episodes, whatever, that are already out. It is a good time. They are interviewing all the Firefly cast members and other people connected to their shows and that they know, and sometimes just the two of them, just swapping stories. It's fun. If you like Firefly especially, it's great just to hear these people. But what is wild is that the latest episode just announced they're going to restart Firefly as an animated show. They're going to continue Firefly from where it left off in the series, the 14th episode, as an animated show with the original cast. Everyone's coming back except for Book, who passed away in real life. But they're going to get a new voice actor for Book. It's going to be between the TV show and the movie that they made, because there are tons of cool adventures that Firefly has that Nathan Fillion says he wants to tell, and the entire cast are still friends, so they all want to be a part of it, and it changed all of their lives so much. Just such an important show to so many people, and I'm super excited about it. And the latest episode of the podcast was a recording of a panel that the Firefly cast did where they announced the new animated show. And I was just walking around with a big old smile because I'm very excited for it too. But usually when I'm listening to a podcast, I usually am listening to like backlogs of old episodes. And so when they announce something, I can just go look for it and get it. And this time it came out, just now. So now I have to wait with everyone else, and we're just waiting to see the show. And I don't know when it'll actually come out, but I'm so excited that it is coming out. I'm really excited to see how it holds up as an animated show. The comics they did are great. I read through the comics a few times. They're very interesting. I think they're actually new ones I might not have read through, but I should check it out, because if they can get an animation style like that, which I loved and which fits the Firefly atmosphere so well, their aesthetic as a whole, that would be great. I'm very excited to see what this animated show is like and how the crew feels back in these positions. Okay, what was funny? I wanted to go to this burger place. It sounded really good, Umiiro Burger. And it sounded really good, but I found out about it the day before they closed for 2 days. They're only open 5 days a week, and they're only open 4 hours per day. So I found out about them at like 4 p.m., or no, 7 p.m. actually, one evening, and I was like, oh, I can go tomorrow. And then I checked the schedule, and they actually weren't open the next day or the day after that. So I've just been waiting. And then I finally went to this place, Umiiro Burger, and I'm so angry I didn't find out about it earlier, because I've been here for 5 weeks. I only have 1 week left, and they have great food and they take credit cards. So it's a little pricey. It's like gourmet burger stuff. They have regular burgers, but their flagship burgers are gourmet, and they have them on amazing. I really like this restaurant. They had a Hojo Brewing Saison, and you order on tablets. So I got the what is it called? Umiiro White Sea Burger. And they bring it out on a wooden tray, and on the wooden tray there's a wavy black plate that kind of looks like a large tile. It's a very nice, very fancy plate. You get this really nice hand towel to wash your hands. They bring it out with the tray, so you wash your hands right before you eat. Or you don't wash, you just clean your hands. You clean your hands with the cloth before you eat your burger. And they have burger bags, so you can put it inside there and smash the burger down to eat it. It feels extremely luxurious, and it's all hardwood, so it's very classy, decorated, and there's outlets everywhere so you can plug in. There's free Wi-Fi, and it overlooks the ocean. So there's a bar set up at the back of the room with floor-to-ceiling windows, and the only problem is that they have a lot of potted plants, so it's kind of difficult to see the ocean, but not super difficult. You can still see it. I would just want a less obstructed face level window area, but it was fine. You can still see it. And it's great. It's great. I've been there 3 times now, and every time I sit at that bar and I have a beer and eat my amazing burger. Oh, the burger's so good. Okay, let's talk about this White Sea Burger. So there's a white sauce that I think is a bechamel sauce. The bread is fluffy but dense, so it's easy to bite through, but it does have a texture to it in the best way for a hamburger bun, which are so often dry and rip apart and crap. Oh, I should start. I don't like hamburgers. I don't eat them a lot. If a hamburger is not made really well, I'm not interested at all. I don't get them much. The meat's often chewy, which I don't like. There's bits of gristle in there. The buns suck all the time. I don't like eating a lot of bread anyway. I don't like burgers in general. I very rarely eat hamburgers. But this place, the burgers looked so good that I was like, well, give it a try. You're in Japan, maybe it actually is. And it came out, and the burger looked as decadent and luxurious. It looked exactly like the picture they had taken. Like the width of the patty, how it was cooked, the cheese dripping off the burger. Everything looked exactly how it looked in the photos on the Google Maps listing of this place, which is amazing because obviously that's very rare that a restaurant actually makes their burgers every day to the standards of their advertised food. That's more common in Japan, certainly, But even in Japan, I have had plenty of burgers there. I've had the fast food ones, the most burgers or whatever, but I've also gone to really nice restaurants, and I had two good burgers at Martini Burger, so I know that they exist. But I think that one was like $20 a burger. It was pretty pricey. You know, it was pricey for me at the time. I don't know I should check. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, so at the time I went, 100 yen was $1, and all these are 1900 yen. So almost $20 for the burger. And I got martinis too. We kind of splurged. I was traveling with a friend at that time. We just splurged and each got a burger and a couple martinis. And it was really fun, and they were good. But I think these ones at Umiiro are better, I think, for me. And every bit of it, like I said, the bread was perfect. The bechamel sauce was really good on top. The patty, the meat was really important because super easy to bite through, falls apart. You don't have to pull or anything at the meat. You don't have to bite very hard. It just, you bite into it and the meat separates from the rest of the meat. And it was grilled well on both sides. Actually, they might have fried it. Fried well on both sides. And it's a mushroom burger, so there were mushrooms, but it was very clear that they took care to thick slice the mushrooms and saute them separately from everything else so that the mushrooms have their own distinct flavor, even in the midst of all this cheese and meat and bread and so much other flavors. And there was some very fresh lettuce, which I don't usually like in my burgers, but tasted good here because it was fresh lettuce. And then the cheese. It's a 4-cheese combination, and I loved it. And I don't usually like cheese, but it was not heavy, thick. It looks heavy and thick, but when you eat it, it's light and airy and easy to eat, and it doesn't sit like a weight at the bottom of your stomach, and it doesn't taste cheap. This tasted like very fancy mixed real cheese. They must mix some kind of feta into it or something. It's a very interesting combination. It was delicious. So this burger rocked, and their French fries were cooked absolutely perfectly. They were a very light gold, but very strongly crisp. Totally great, and the Saison was perfect. It was a little bit fruity and pale, but a strong flavor and fun to drink. It was a fun to drink. The beer was expensive. I keep getting them, but that was like $6 for a beer. I guess it's like $5.50, something like that. So it was not the cheapest burger you can get, but it is probably the second best burger I've had. I think the guy in Portugal who had his own food truck and used to be a professional chef, I think his are still better, I would say, but I can't remember. You know, it's been so long since I had that. But I'm just in my gut, I feel like his were still transcendent. But that first one I had here at Umiiro, I was like, holy crap, I have not had a burger this good since. And I tried to remember, and I kept going year by year, and I was like, nothing since the Portugal guy. So it's as good as his probably, because it's the only one that hit me with this depth of, it felt like a fine dining experience, how carefully each ingredient was individually crafted. Like, they clearly spent a lot of time working on the patty by itself, but they spent a lot of time working on the sauteed mushrooms, and they were perfectly prepared, the sauteed mushrooms. And they spent a lot of time working on this cheese, clearly, because it was somehow airy, as if they not blended, what's called submersed blender, that thing that spins around and puts air and stuff. Maybe they did like a little bit of that and then folded it. Oh, they probably just folded the cheese so that there was some air in it. It was amazing. And I sat there after I finished everything. I had clean plate. It was clean. And the wooden tray and the black clay fired tile with their name of the restaurant etched into it looked so nice. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I stared out at the ocean, totally content with what had transpired. And I just watched the waves being like, look at this good stuff here. And I can tell you right now, I've already been back twice, and I will be going back again, but that'll take some time to talk about. So let's get into it on the next Ramble On, and I'll tell you about the Umiiro Red Burger and the Demitama. And then they have a weekday special. Oh my gosh. But it's so funny because I had no idea it was right here because everyone told me there weren't any restaurants or supermarkets near me, but there's a supermarket near me, and this restaurant is less than a mile away. I can walk there in 15 minutes. And it's so good. So it's probably good. Maybe it's good I didn't know about it. No, it's the perfect amount of food too. Like I don't really gorge myself on it. So maybe I wouldn't spend way too much money, but maybe I would because the beers are expensive at this place. Anyway, I like this new restaurant. I'm here for a week. I'm going to try as much as I can of their menu because it's great. It's simple. And I'm probably not going to eat hamburgers again for years after this glorious experience. I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for listening. I will talk to you soon. Talk to me at bitofarambler@gmail.com or bitofarambler on Blue Sky and Lemmy. Have a great rest of your day.